Hey everyone, I'm Mackayla, and today on the Soundtrack of Our Lives podcast, we welcome My Epic.
Hello.
Yeah, so you guys recently put out the live version of Loriella. So why did you guys decide to make a live version?
Wow, great question. Well, we liked the record so much, and like we discussed before we started recording, our lives are really busy, but the band is and the music we made is still super important to all of us. And so it's just like, how can we continue to support the record as many ways as possible? But also, we'd seen a lot of artists that we liked during our while we were writing the record who were releasing and I think maybe the pandemic like helped with this. A lot of bands
Mhm.
releasing studio versions or live versions or like concert films or whatever, and we were really appreciating how they were falling in this medium space. Like they weren't as quite as like live as like an audio tree or a KEXP performance,
Yeah.
which is cool in its own right, but that's more like multicam, and you just kind of film it all live and edit it later, and you just kind of pick cameras almost like a multicam sitcom. And then they weren't quite music video. They weren't as heightened as a music video, but they were like
Mhm.
in the middle where they're like the camera choices are more cinematic like a music video, but there's still a live performance. And that was something that we hadn't seen as much of, and that we were like, oh, really excited to do something like that. And then also as a way to continue pushing the record. And then, we don't get to tour as much as we'd like. And so it was another way of like being a band for a while. Like the best part of being in a band is being in a band. Like we're together and we get the relationships we have together and the way we think about art and the way we ping pong, especially this record was really primarily Nate and Tanner and I, and then to a lesser extent, Alex and my brother were involved some, but we like being together and we like
Mhm.
bouncing off each other and we like playing music, and these songs are made to be played live. They were written with us in the room together. And so we weren't sure of what touring opportunities would avail, and still are looking to do more. We've done some stuff, but we're like, well, we want to kind of make a time capsule. And also my other job, Mackayla, is I own a video production company. I'm a filmmaker. And so it was also something that my business partner and I were like, oh, it'd be cool to get to do one of those. And guess who we can do one for? And it also allowed us to present the label with, hey, we can make something that looked like it cost this much.
Mhm.
For those that are listening, my hands are very wide. And then, but it's going to cost this much because we can discount a lot of stuff. So it just checked a lot of boxes of like, at least we'll get to present people with some live version of the songs if they don't get to see us on this touring
Mhm.
cycle, and we'll get to express ourselves. That was kind of the big thing, was like we'll get to creatively express ourselves in another way. Like Nate is a massive loves music videos, loves films. Tanner is like an all-around creative, and so it was just another like, hey, we're not quite ready to write more songs yet, so but we can be creative again and we
Yeah.
can enjoy these songs. And so it just checked a lot of boxes, and the label was like, yeah, anything you want to do to push the record. So
Yeah, that sounds like you guys had a lot of fun creating it.
it was, like we haven't got to do like a full blown tour this year. We've just done a couple of like, we did like a couple of festivals and some weekend touring. And that's the time I feel most like the record's real.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, we worked so long on these songs. We never really took off. From our last EP, we just kept writing, but it between pandemic and some sickness and me
Right.
having a kid, like it took a while. And so, but I feel the most like a band when we're together playing. And so this was one of those times. It was weird to play and then metaphorically take my epic hat on and put my ultraviolet media hat on and be looking at the takes with my partner. And thankfully he's so competent that I kind of like barely put that hat on, but it was so fun to just be in the room and jamming. And then the other thing we did was like, we were just trying to get a couple of songs, like, if we'd come off of tour, we could have done it really fast.
Mhm.
But since we weren't, we would be tight, when you're on tour, and like, no matter how good you are, like after 4 or 5 nights on tour, you're
Yeah.
so, it's in your bones and you're just not thinking, and it's so lovely. And we weren't going to have that advantage. So we gave ourselves like, oh, let's just try to get 2 or 3 songs a day, really good, get 3 or 4 good takes, and then we'll have it. And so at night we did a couple old songs every night, which are for our Patreon community. And that was like the money in the bag. That was like, we'd eat dinner. Like Tanner would go cook dinner while Nate produced, who's our one of our members, produced the music, and then I produced the videos. And then Tanner, who owns a series of coffee shops, he would go cook dinner, and then we'd all come back and eat dinner, and then we'd come back in the room and like, let's play an old song, which is like in our bones. We don't have to think. And that was really
Mhm.
fun because the new songs, you're thinking a lot. And so it was a super fun experience. And I think when people watch it, like whatever it looks like we were feeling, like we were together and we're having fun, and it kind of ends with this little like fire pit. Like that is what it felt like. So it's fun to me to watch it and to know there's no filmmaking deceit in it. Like
Mhm.
there's no, it's like it is true to what it felt like, you know, and it was also true to what the record is more hopeful and joyful. So all those things just felt really right to do.
Yeah. I could definitely tell that you guys were having a lot of fun and then hearing you speak about it as well.
Mm, for sure. Yeah, it was. It was also like, I don't know how long winded you want me to be, Mackayla, because
No, it's up to you.
I can be very long winded if
Yeah,
you
go
want.
for it.
um, it was like Ethan's my business partner, and he's been super involved with this record. He also helped direct the Make Believe music video and the Late Bloomer music video. And he's kind of been listening to demos. We'd be like shooting something in Utah, and I'd be like, I've got a new demo. And I met him through the band. So he was a super big encourager this go around. But we sort of had like, oh, we're going to do this stuff for Loriella film. And if that all goes well, and we think it will, we're pretty confident it will, it'll be good. But then there was this list of stuff like maybe this will work out. And if it does, then it'll be like the best version we can imagine pulling off at this point in our, you know, as a filmmaking production company. Mm-hmm. And like sort of everything broke our way. Like it all kind of like we had this projector idea, and then the projector wasn't bright enough and it wasn't working. I was like, oh, we'll have to do something different, which is fine. Like we had alts, and we always have plans on backup plans for backup plans. But our friend who owned the studio, like, was like, I know this mega church and I know where all their old projectors are and they don't use them. And I'll just grab a bunch of them. We're like, okay, sick. And he texted me like, wow, it was the middle of the night. Like, do you want the big one or the small one? And I just instinctively was like, the big one. And then he showed up with one that was literally like the size of a desk. And then like, oh, maybe we'll hang something from the roof and project on it. And like, it just worked out. And then, oh, like we'll do some acoustic interstitials and maybe we'll play one on the roof. And we didn't, none of that was prepped. Like it was all just like, we would try it, or like there's a moment where me and Tanner and Nate and I play as a trio, like kind of around the piano. I was like, oh, I kind of have an acoustic ending to like the heaviest song on the record. And like, that would be cool for people. They wouldn't expect it.
Yeah.
And that was one of those times you remember like, oh, we're a band. Like we just sat down and Nate sat at the piano and Tanner picked up guitar and I started singing, what if it went like this? And they're like, yeah. And 20 minutes later we're filming. And it's like, oh, after spending 3 years making a record, it was nice to get in and remember that we can also sometimes just like lean on our, like the wisdom we've accumulated and make something cool. So it kind of all came together in a really fun way. And hopefully we get to do more stuff like it. Cause it was for me, it was super fun to get to like do all of it at once. And then for all the guys, like everybody was kind of using all their skills. So it was super fun.
So when you're approaching a project like that, has it shifted how you approach it with also filming as well?
I would say that what's shifted was now that we've done it, we feel super empowered. Like, which is super cool. You know, as a white cis man, it's so good to finally be empowered. Sarcasm, I hope, is reading through the microphone. But it was like very, you know, like we've always been very humble and very thankful. But like Nate produced this record and it sounds insanely good, and we knew it would because he makes lots of records for lots of bands. And then he'd go, yeah, we'll do a live thing, and I'll just do this, and it'll be sick. And our old friend Matt Goldman, who's really helped us so many times along the way, came in, kind of live engineered it. And then knowing that like me and Ethan were like, yeah, we think we know how to make this. We normally make lots of corporate stuff, but like, oh yeah, we know how to make this, and we know what the record is because it's ours. Right. And so to shoot it and like to cut it all together, and Ethan to sort of like, you know, he's really the one who lives in the edit, and I'm sort of like the producer director, and he's sort of the director DP and then edits. And so, and then to have it all come together was like, oh, this is so empowering. What else do we want to do? Like, we're starting to feel like we can, or at least artistically, I don't know about reception. People seem to love it, which is good, but you know, there's money involved and time involved. So granted that there's money in the future, and granted that there's still a desire, like, yeah, we feel more empowered to like, I've got a crazy idea for the next music video. Like we can do it. Where before I was like, I think we can do it. And, did you ever see the movie Signs, Mackayla?
I don't think so. No.
It's like an early M. Night Shyamalan film.
Okay.
It's pretty worth watching, I think. Some people don't like the ending, but I think it's pretty cool. Some of the CG is kind of lame, but there's this scene where this guy's it's actually Joaquin Phoenix, and he's in a recruitment office, and this guy recognizes him, and he's like, hey, weren't you like the greatest home run hitter in the history of like high school baseball? And he's like really sheepish, and he's like, yeah. And the guy's like saying all of it, like, you did this many home runs and blah blah blah. And he's kind of like, yeah, you know. And then there's another guy who's kind of the heel of the film, or one of the heels, and he's like, yeah, but didn't you also have like the most strikeouts in the history of the state? And Joaquin just like very quietly, very humbly says, like, just felt wrong not to swing. And that has become one of my mantras for life. Like when there's a chance to do something, it's almost like a nicer version of fake it till you make it. If I think I can reasonably do it, like, and it's not going to put anybody too out. Like the money involved in stuff is like, oh yeah, we make professional film content all the time. We know what the record is. And so it felt wrong not to swing before. And now it feels like, oh yeah, we know how to do it. We want to do more of it. And it also empowers us. Like we've always had our hands involved in like, to the degree that we can, like the cover and the merch and stuff. But with a band our size, there's like too many plates to keep spinning. So it's like, well, the merch isn't quite right, but people will buy it and be glad to have it, but it's not quite what we wanted. Or the music video is good, but it's not what it doesn't. It's like we've had other music videos that looked technically good, but like they didn't fit what we wanted them to be. But it's like it's already made. It's too late. So yeah. We're super. And when we were shooting some of the music videos for this, we got the first treatments for North Star and Heavy Heart, which were the first two singles. We had a friend who's an amazing producer, makes amazing stuff. And we were in a rush and he gave us a treatment and it was like a great treatment, but it was the wrong treatment for the songs. And we had to kind of minute. We're like, are we going to trust ourselves? Cause like, he's awesome and it will look awesome. He makes awesome stuff, but it didn't feel right to what the songs were about and like what we were trying to put forward for the record and for the record to say. And after putting so much time and thought into like what the record is saying and for the feeling to be right, we like trusted ourselves and pulled the plug and went with another friend. It was much smaller. And like, we ended up being super happy. Like they served the songs. And I think we learned this record taught us more than ever. Like there's enough of us in the room who have accomplished enough that like, if we all agree, we can kind of trust that.
Yeah.
You know, if the three of us and our manager and like the label, like, and the label so far, I mean, we've been around long enough that they're like, hey, whatever you guys want to do, like, well, that sounds good. Like we know if you're turning it in and you're happy with it, we know we'll be happy. So it has been super empowering.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those things. It's like the content is great, but it's not right.
Yeah.
You just have to trust your gut.
Well, that is the bar because like art is such a subjective thing, you know, and like perfection is like never the goal. It's like, is it right? And so that's the term we use a lot. It's like, it's not right, which is a funny thing. Are you a songwriter or
no, I'm a creative. I, make art all the time. That's what I went to school for.
I could tell with your thoughts. Like you ever have something where you're writing something or you're making something and you haven't finished it yet and you have an idea for how to finish it. Or with me, it's like, we'll try a bridge idea and we'll be like, it's cool. Like, it's not going to be bad. Yeah. Nobody in the room is going to play bad. Everybody's good enough to play good, but everybody says it's not right. And I think it's such an interesting thing to say because you're making something up that's never existed. And rightness has this idea that like you're matching to some standard. It's like measuring a corner and going, it's not right. It's not 90 degrees.
Yeah.
But when you're saying that about an unfinished story, it's like, what do you mean it's not right? It could be anything you want it to be, Mackayla.
Yeah.
But that is your artistic sense. And that is like, and that's your voice. And that's really all you have in the world. And so, every creator I've ever met knows that feeling of like, yeah, you're right. I'm making it up out of nothing. So why would I say it's not right? And I'm like, because
it doesn't exist yet.
I know, but you have a sense that it's not, that you're making it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Which is funny because it's like making what the wrong way. But I always say the way that making something good, and I've talked to so many people about this, like filmmakers and songwriters and writers, and they all seem to agree. Like when you stumble onto a good idea, we all know you can just sit down today and I could write 10 songs. None of them might be inspired or good. When you find something good, you start writing something good, start filming something good. You have a sense of like, you've stumbled on something, you found it, you did the work. I'm not saying you weren't involved, but when it's almost like you reached through a portal and you felt the shape of something. And now you come back to like your pottery wheel and you're trying to remember what it felt like. That feeling was right. And like, maybe you're working on the handle and you're like, now that handle's right. And then the handle's wrong. You're like, then the work is to figure out how to get my hand back through that portal to feel what I felt again and to work on it again. And that feeling I think is pretty universal. And I also think it's like pretty tellingly mysterious. Like whether you're religious or not, there's something to be said there about like these things, like they have a life of their own and like we steward them and we interact with them.
Yeah.
I would never want to take credit away from artists who are working super hard, but I think any artist worth his salt would admit that they're good stuff. There's something else mystical, magical, however you want to put it, that's involved in the process.
Yeah. Like I don't always feel like I'm creating the art. It's like, it's creating itself.
Yeah. And it's like, there's a poet, I've told this story a bunch on this record cycle, but I love this story. There's a poet named Ruth Stone. Do you know who she is?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah. She's like like last century. But she would say when she was a little girl, she would say poems would come to her. And she said sometimes if they were really good, they'd come like a freight train. And she would be out in the field working with her family on the farm. And she would hear the poem coming. And so she would like sprint back towards her house to try to get to a pen and a paper. Because she said, I knew if I didn't get to paper and write it down, it would go past me and it would find another writer,
Yeah.
because these ideas are like, it's almost like ideas are in the zeitgeist, like what's happening in the world and in culture, it's all bubbling and it's all
Hmm.
kind of connecting. And she said sometimes she would get to the paper just as the poem was passing her, and she said she would grab it by the tail and she would pull it back through her, and she would write the whole poem at once from the last word to the first word perfectly.
That's
uh,
crazy.
I know, and I don't know if that's just like a good storyteller, like telling a great story, but like I resonate with the idea of like
Hmm.
sometimes it's like, oh yeah, it's here right now, and my job is, I'm like, I think of it as a blue collar work. Like I just have to sit down and do the work every day,
Yeah.
and then sometimes the magic happens, and it's my job to, it's just like being a farmer. My job is to do the work, and then and not to get too discouraged, because most days aren't going to be those exciting days,
Yeah.
but I have to put them in, because then some days like I'll write a heavy heart and I'll be like, yes, that's the best. That's what I wanted to write.
Hmm. So what do you do when you're feeling discouraged?
Uh, oh, lots of tricks. Well, the first thing is to not get discouraged. That's the fight. The fight is to not get discouraged, but it definitely happens.
Yeah.
My I've told my wife so many times, like, oh yeah, I had a bad writing session, but I had to write all those bad ideas to get to a good one.
Right.
And so now she'll remind me. She'll be like, yeah, you had to get those out of the way. And I'm like, yes, thank you for reminding me. I know that's true, but it doesn't feel emotionally true.
Hmm.
Emotionally, it feels like I just got lucky a bunch of times. And now the truth is, um, I'll do stuff like I'll change where I'm writing. I'll go somewhere else. Like I've made my office to be a place I like to be, but I'll go to a library or to the side of the river, or go walking, or I'll change. I'll work on a different song for a little bit. And I think now, after like 15 years of writing songs that I wanted to release, I have a sense of like, sometimes, no, I need to drill down. I need to
Hmm.
keep staring at it. And then sometimes I need to go, I need to take a breather. I need to take a break. I always have enough creative things going that I can switch to something else
Right.
and see if like that is the right vibe or the feeling for the day. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, the input's low. Like I haven't been inputting anything that's exciting or interesting. So I need to read, or I need to watch
Hmm.
something, or I need to listen to some music. Or I need to stop writing by myself and write with Nate, or I need to stop writing with Nate and write by myself. Like just changing something is
Yeah.
almost always like the way. But I do view it as like the only way to get it done is to set deadlines and schedules, and to, if I've set aside 3 or 4 hours to write, then I need to write. And I may change an hour in and go, not this song, or
Hmm.
I'm going to switch from electric to acoustic. I do that a lot. Like I'll go from a full blown demo where it's like where I'll play in the riffs and it all sounds like the song, but the lyrics aren't there. Maybe I'm humming a melody, and then I'll go, now pick up an acoustic, which is why I write acoustic versions a lot on accident, because it takes so long.
Hmm.
So I would say just like changing things, and then I do keep more sane hours now. Like I have a 4-year-old daughter. My wife is also um, runs a company, and so it's all about scheduling for us.
Yeah.
And so I go, no, I have 4 hours. I got to get something done. So just changing. What do you do, Mackayla? What's your tricks? You got any good ones to share with me?
I mean, just get out of the environment that I'm in, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or like you said, do something different or new, a
Mm-hmm.
new experience or something that I haven't done before, which is kind
Totally.
of like sometimes putting it aside and forgetting about it. And then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden I'm doing something new and then inspiration comes.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. 100%. Or it's two things connect that you didn't think. It's crazy how many times the solution was that these two songs need to get brought together, and then
Hmm.
all the parts that aren't good enough can die.
Yeah.
And now there's like, it's closer to a song that feels right. It's just, it happened. I mean, I'd say like some of our best songs have happened really quick, at least the structure. And then some of our best songs have happened the longest. Like there's no way of knowing. And also some of the songs we felt the strongest about, the fans didn't. And some of the ones we thought might be like, oh, the fans love. So, like all you could do is keep fighting until it's like, we've never put anything out we didn't believe in, but we have put some
Right.
stuff out that we're like, I don't think the fans will dig this one as much, and we've been wrong. Or I
Hmm.
think the fans will love this one and we've been wrong. But just keep pushing for it to be right, and for everyone to be like, yeah, that's right. That sounds like my epic song now.
Hmm. What does your daughter think of your music?
That's a great question. Well, she's 4, and I've been writing this record most of her life, and early on was like showing her demos, especially of Heavy Heart, because that was kind of inspired by her. It's not really just about her.
Hmm.
Most songs aren't about any one thing, but it did start that way. And so as a little, and the music video was finished like almost 2 years ago now. It was like finished a year before we even released it. So, and she's in it for like a brief second. And so even and then I could tell my daughter is very brilliant for her age, and she's very verbose. Like she's always talked like a year or two ahead of her
Mhm.
age group. Like when I would hang out with other 2-year-olds, I'd be shocked because I was used to Goldie using like full sentences. But even from a young age, she would always wants a song on in the car, and she's always going to ask me what are they talking about. Like
Mhm.
from a young age, like she understood songs mean something, and she really wants to understand what it's about. So today she was like, "Can you play that Woohoo song that her friend Mumu likes, which is Blur song 2, which is a great song?" And she was like, "What are they talking about?" I was like, "Well, he's really not talking about. It's nonsense. This is a joke song." But I've had to explain like very complex like relationship dynamics to her, and so that's interesting to see how from a young age, like she understood that songs are things that people make. Somebody
Mhm.
made this, and that person is a person like my dad. And
Yeah.
so she's very interested in what songs mean and why they're saying it. And she's very like, why are they sad? Like a lot of songs are breakup songs. And
Yeah.
she's like, why? Well, if they like each other, why aren't they together? I'm like, you're going to spend a lifetime with that question. Like it will happen a lot. You know,
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't happen too much to you, but it happens to all of us at times. Um, and then this weekend we played, or last week we played Furnace Fest, and I've never taken her to a show before because, like I said, my wife works full time and I work full time,
Mhm.
and we don't play Louisville often. She's seen me play acoustic stuff, but like I don't like that. I don't enjoy it as much. I like being in a loud rock band.
Mhm.
So this was like Missy's was from Alabama. So she's like, I'll bring Goldie down. We'll be at the show, and it's also like one of the bigger shows we played in a while. And so she was on stage watching us play, and apparently she was telling my wife the whole time she wanted to run out and give me a kiss.
Oh.
And she'll ask a lot like, "Can you play one of another of your song, Daddy?" After sound check, I said, "Goldie, how did it sound?" She said, "It sounded really good, Daddy. It did sound a little bit horrible." And I said, "Which parts?" I said, "Was I singing bad?" You know, like, and Missy was like, "No, it was when you first turn your amps on and you're just like strumming them to get noise."
Mhm.
Like, I was like, "Oh, well, that part wasn't supposed to sound good, Goldie. We were just like getting the amps on." And then she's like patronizing me on accident. She's like, "No, it's okay, Daddy. It sounded good. It just sounded a little horrible." And I was like, "Listen, I don't need this from you. Like, you don't need to patronize me." But she loved actually today. I just had like a local radio station on, and it was like something very jazzy and soft. And she
Mhm.
said, "Daddy, can you put on a song like yours?" And so I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" I'm always interested to hear her put it in her own words
Yeah.
because she's that age, and she's also that smart that she's always using new words that she
Mhm.
learned in context, and she uses them correctly. But it's interesting to see. And she goes, "One of your songs, like a tough song." And I was like, "Oh, that makes me proud. Like that you think Daddy writes some tough songs." So yeah, she thinks it's great. She watched our set. I mean, she was stomping her foot, but I think 35 minutes was about the length of her being able to pay attention. She
Yeah.
was also interested in the cup of ice she had was
I mean, she
almost
is
as
4,
interested.
so.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she on my best day, I'm almost as good as Blippy. So like that. It is what it is. Or Danny Go. He's the guy. I don't know if you know who he is, but she's really into Danny Go right now. So my daughter likes Danny Go and My Epic and Noel Gallagher a lot. So she's an interesting kid.
Yeah.
You know,
Very wide range of interests.
I'm mostly proud of that list. I won't say which ones I'm not.
Aside from thinking the beginning of the sound check was not great, did she, aside from that, enjoy the show?
Oh yeah, she was like dancing and stomping, and she told me I did so good. And but then she did afterwards. There was another band playing, and she goes, "Yeah, Dad, I'm kind of ready for it to not be so loud anymore, though." And we had like headphones on her and
Mhm.
stuff, but she thought it was great. I mean, so far she's an only child, so she gets too much attention, and she's too good around adults. But yeah, she had a blast.
Yeah, that is the thing about concerts is they're always loud.
Yeah, and the band after us is was a super rad hardcore band,
Mhm.
and actually, I recently just introduced her to screaming music. And I think she's heard some, but she really is into the idea that Daddy's friends also make music.
Mhm.
And so she'll be like, "Can you play me another one of your friends' music?" So I like, okay, which of my friends would she? So I played her a Valley Heart song a while ago, and she's like, "I like that song." I was like, "Yeah, it's my friend Kevin. He's really talented." And so then I was like, "Do you want to hear?" And I knew we were going to be playing a festival with our friends Silent Planet, and Alex drums for us, also drums is in Silent Planet. So I was like, "Oh, I'll play her a Silent Planet song." So I was like, "Do you want to hear a Silent Planet song?" She's like, "Yeah, Daddy." And so like, this is my friends Garrett and Mitch and Alex, and so I played their new song, Antimatter, which is I don't know if you've heard that song or know that band,
I don't think
but
I've heard this song now.
okay, it's kind of like sounds like them. It's like metal core,
Okay.
but it also has like a strong like kind of Nine Inch Nails like Doom the video game element. It's really cool.
Mhm.
And she like loved it. And so she knew I didn't tell her. the next day she was like, I want the heavy song again. I didn't tell her it was called heavy. She just
Mhm.
like intuited that. So she's also really into the idea, like play me another song by one of your friends, daddy. And I'll play her a song by another artist that I'm friends with. And so now she kind of thinks everyone's my friend. She's like, I'm like, no, I don't know them all.
Yeah, that could get interesting. You could just pretend they're all your friends because I mean, he is four.
Yeah, I'm gonna lie about Santa, so I might as well lie about that too.
Yeah.
You know,
Hopefully she doesn't hear that bit.
no, the door's closed.
Okay, that would be bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Santa is real. I mean,
To me, he is real, and it's the
yeah,
best time of the year, and we're headed into it right now. So
I know it's exciting. It's holidays.
yeah, where do you live?
I live
Maybe I
up in
should mention the
Boston.
podcast. Oh, I used to live in Key, New Hampshire for a while.
Oh, nice.
So I would drove down through Boston a lot, actually.
Yeah, I
Always
like
have a
it.
good time there. That's awesome. Is that where you're from?
Yeah, born and raised.
No reason to leave. Get up every morning, get your dunks, and keep moving.
Pretty much, yeah. I was visiting my brother out in California, and it's like, I don't like this. There's no Dunkin'.
Yeah, yeah. What am I gonna drink? Starbucks? No, thank you.
Too expensive.
Yeah, I lived in New Keene for a while, and I was like between records, and so I was working for a generator company that like was the biggest generator company in New England, and so we drive all around the region and like install. But it was funny. Whoever I was with, the first thing we do is fill the van and then go to Dunkin'. And something about watching just like tons of work vans show up at 6:30 in the morning in the cold, everybody with steel toe boots on, like getting their dunks for the morning, just felt like really like this is good. America's not bad.
Mhm.
Like we're
Yeah.
okay. We got some things going for us.
Yeah, we got Dunkin'.
We got dunks.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of mentioned that you guys aren't really, you've been busy with other stuff. So do you have any plans for the upcoming future?
Oh, for sure. Like this weekend was super enjoyable. We'd like to do more touring. It's
Mhm.
just weighing out the value of yeah, we all would like to do more of it. And our audience is great, but it's like, well, if we can only tour so much, do we want to do a headliner, which will be great. Like we'll play, fun little shows and our fans will come and we'll make a little bit of money, which is not really the goal, but obviously important, necessary.
Yeah.
But we'd really rather take the most opportunities to like reach the most people we can.
Mhm.
So like with Loriella the film, like, yeah, we could have done a week tour instead of that, but it's like, oh, this is going to find way more people in the long run.
Right.
We could go play for, 150 or 200 people a night if we're headlining, or we take out a fun opener or something, or we could do this and then hopefully a bigger, we got like, we had a bigger tour. We sort of got an offer this fall. It didn't quite work out. They ended up going with a different band, which was a better pick for the region they were in.
Mhm.
But there's options like that. They're like, okay, if something right comes along.
Yeah.
But like, if nothing's shaking, we want to do a tour in the spring. We definitely want to keep making music together. I mean, our goal right now is to, do some acoustic versions to release over the winter, because some of these songs just accidentally have cool acoustic versions, and it's just another way to say, hey, please pay attention to these songs. We really love them, and then we're also starting to demo already, so that we can, we hadn't done a full length in like 10 years. We'd just done 3 EPs because that was more manageable, and now I remember why, because it's like a full length takes so much more work than, even though it's like only 40% more work, it feels like it's 200% more, because you're just trying to keep all the plates spinning at once. So and it's a singles world, which is great. So, and the label's super supportive. So I think what we'd like to do is spin up a couple singles and maybe have something new coming out next summer, so it's not even a year between releases, and then do successive singles that like build like 2 or 3 at a time.
Right.
It builds, I mean, we have, Nate owns a studio and is a world-class producer, and I'm able to make my schedule flexible because I own my company, and Tanner is too. And Alex is really like, unless Silent Planet is on tour and studio, he's always down, and the level of talent's really high. So it's like, yeah, let's just keep getting together. So hopefully we'll do some more touring, and hopefully we'll have new singles coming out. Like as far as this record goes, like we do want to tour it a lot more. It's just, what, I know that ultimately what fans want the most is for us to keep being active.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's like, well, I know they'd love us to come play their city, but that will take a lot of effort. Or we could do this thing, they'll be glad which will move us more towards new music.
Right.
But we do want to tour, because like playing live is like, I feel like in filmmaking, they say you make the film 3 times, like in the writing, and then in the shooting, and then in the editing. And I feel like there's something too about like playing it live is a different version of the record that we all love. Like we play all the songs like slightly different live, and we discover things about them that are not better versions, but different, and maybe make it work live. And a lot of times lately we've been playing with no tracks live.
Mhm.
which is super fun because it's a record that's like really maximalist and lush, and there's like so much ear candy.
Yeah.
So then to go like, okay, now how do we make this work with like two guitars, bass, drums, and some vocals is like a fun, different challenge where
Mhm.
thankfully, like because a lot of the songs are built around really simple, not simple melodies, but like acoustic and a melody, like they can work. And so yeah, we definitely want to play more. It's just like finding the right opportunities. And also I think we don't, no one really wants to break the band over anything. You know,
Mhm.
like we don't want to be like maker, but we have to do this so much stuff and then we'll all get exhausted. It's like
Yeah,
we are all more interested in being artists than being a band, if that makes sense. Like
that does make sense.
yeah, like we're a group of artists who loves to make art rather than like the name, you know, than just being road dogs or something, you know,
Mhm.
which is fine too. It's just not where we're at in life.
Yeah. And you got to think of yourself before, because otherwise, if you don't think of yourself, it doesn't benefit everybody else.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's the win. When we all win, then that those are the things we end up saying yes to. Like I would love to tour a lot more. Also, though that's less true because I don't like being away from my wife and my daughter as much as I used to. But
Right.
I do love playing music. So like going on tour would be a bit of a sacrifice, but I mean I'd be like playing last weekend, like it fills something up in me that doesn't get filled in any other way. Even though
Mhm.
I'm a creative for a living, it's like no film is the same as playing a live show. It just is like its own unique thing.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you have any favorite songs to play live?
I tend to like the songs that work the best, that just do the right thing every night. So a
Mhm.
couple come to mind, like Blacklight off our last record. It just works so perfectly, and it's like we it's a we think of our songs like we don't think of them when we're writing them this way, but as we start writing them, we're like, oh, this song is kind of a an evolution of another song we've done before, like the
Mhm.
really heavy stuff, or like the prettier stuff, or like the mid kind of rock stuff. And Blacklight kind of represents our heavier side, and it does it so well. And it's sort of like there's other songs before that we're still proud of, but they just even live, it's like you can never have heard us, and that song will works really well.
Yeah.
Um, there's a song called "Of Wilderness" on an EP called Ultraviolet we did in 2018 that just works. It was something I was trying to write for a long time, and I can't even really tell you how it's different than everything we've done before, but it is to me.
Mhm.
And not only is it a song that's like so fun to play, but it punches above its weight. Like if you heard it, you'd be like, oh, I dig that song. And live, it like works even better. And it brings such a good change up. We almost always play it in the middle of the set because everyone in the band just like grooves on it and it works. And then I always love playing the new stuff. Like, you know, whatever is new is like, you know, you're kind of none of the new stuff is automatic yet. So it's maybe not
Mhm.
as fun. Like, whereas like once we've finished touring this record, that stuff will be in our bones too.
Right.
Um, but like Heavy Heart is a song on the new record that like people respond strong to every night. Like when the intro starts and people cheer, that's such a good feeling.
Mhm.
Like, you know, and well, you kind of feel like don't screw it up because they just told you they already liked it.
Yeah.
Um, out of the new, so those would be they're I mean, it's always fun to play an old song for old fans, but those are the ones that just always work and always feel good. And then oh, there's another song on the new record called Wildflowers that we all wasn't a single, but the whole band loves, and it's just like really tight. Like there's no it's just part to part. It's just everything in it. Like songwriting wise, it's like really lean and it does everything really well. And it's kind of in this mid space of like bringing together some of the 90s grunge influences that we grew up on as kids
Mhm.
with like more of the post rock stuff that we were peers with. But there's something about it that feels very present and modern. And so, and that one's quite not quite tight as we want it to be yet. I mean, it's been good or we wouldn't play it, but it feels fun and exciting to play it, like the energy that it brings to a show.
Makes sense. So speaking of influences, who would you say are some of the biggest influences?
Mm, man, oh, there's so many over the years. I mean, like lately, I'm trying to think. I have to open my Spotify. I mean, like historically, like heavier side, like the Deftones are a massive touch point for us, and
Mhm.
Smashing Pumpkins, and early Foo Fighters, and um, Mew. I don't know if you know the band Mew.
Sounds
Um,
familiar. Yeah.
they're extremely weird and awesome and rad, and super underrepresented, but they're very, very influential. Like most kind of cool, heavy, weird bands, like that band.
Mhm.
Um, Radiohead obviously is a huge reference point for us, um, and like stuff like Sigur Rós and Explosions in the Sky would be like, you know, there's Tanner kind of brings a lot of that stuff to play. That's like kind of historically like the stuff we like. I mean, we
Mhm.
we will get a lot of like no one's heard us before. Like we'll get a lot of comparisons to like
Yeah.
Thrice or Brand New or whatever, but it's like we were never trying to sound like those bands. We liked the same stuff. And we have massive respect for those bands, but
Yeah.
like we were never like, I want to write a Thrice song. It's like we just like the same bands. Pedro the Lion is the songwriter, is one of my favorite lyricists on the planet. But lately, like it's funny, a couple of years ago, I started to really get into, I grew up on really masculine, loud music and
Mhm.
sort of overlooked the female contributions to the music and rock and roll canon. And like I would say the last decade, that's mostly what I listen to is female songwriter producers. Like Imogen Heap was my big in. That was a while ago. But I'm like everybody else. I'm a sucker for Boy Genius and for Phoebe Bridgers, um, and like stuff like that.
Mhm.
Sylvanesso is a band I love a lot. I'm just like literally scrolling through Spotify. Like it's there's Nate, because Nate is a full-time producer. He is always pretty up on like whatever. Like he'll be the first one to be like, gotta listen to Big Thief or you gotta listen to
Mhm.
whoever. And then Tanner runs a cool coffee shop and is the youngest and is the coolest, and so he tends to know. He'll like tell me an artist, and then I'll look them up, and they have like 1,000 monthly listeners. I'm like, how did he find this? And then they're so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've really appreciated a lot of kind of the California folk sound that's come the last 10 years of like Phoebe and a lot of that, like
Mhm.
the Blake Mills stuff, where
Yeah.
it in the past it was like I would love how much attention was put into the melody and the songwriting and the lyrics of a folk song, but then it felt like the production was just like set a mic up and let them go and don't screw it up. And I appreciate that, but I'm a Radiohead kid, so like
Mhm.
I want as much intention in the production. Like
Yeah.
I like that, and then I'm fine with live, like make it whatever. Like, but so to hear someone like Phoebe, for Blake to make a record that is like every sound is unique
Mhm.
and is perfect. The production is as intentional as the songwriting. That is like that's chef's kiss for me.
Yeah.
So and a lot of it's funny. I don't listen to a lot of heavy rock and roll. Most of what I listen to is like vibier, um, but I also tend to be a little allergic to like fully just acoustic stuff. Like I don't.
Mhm.
That has to be really special for me to dig it. I like things where there's like ambience going on, and
Mhm.
I don't know. I just listened to a bunch of bands, so I just did what I wanted there. I'm sorry. I hope that was a good
No, that
answer.
works. Yeah. So are there any like special acoustic songs that you listen to or artists?
Um, I I'm trying to think like if there is that some of your favorite stuff? Like who would you recommend to me if it is?
Um, I don't know. I feel like same. It's I like stuff that has more go like I like acoustic music, but it's not my go-to.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like usually if I'm listening to acoustic version, it's been recommended by somebody or it's an acoustic version of a song I already like.
Yeah, I tend to not like acoustic versions of songs I already like unless they're like, I mean, there's no exceptions to every rule, but I
Hmm.
tend to find them like sonically uninteresting because I know like if I can listen to something and I know how everything in it is done immediately, I it's not that exciting for me.
Sense.
So I tend to like Bon Iver and the Japanese house and all these artists who could sit down and just play you a good composition on the piano and the acoustic, but
Hmm.
they're bored by it too. So they go in studio and they make all these weird noises. Nate is a good check on that because as a producer, he knows how to make all those weird noises. So he's not impressed by it. And so he circles me back to like the melody and the idea just being so good by itself. And then we'll
Hmm.
play in studio. Let's not rely on, I think in the end of the day, like unless you're doing something totally new, like you can't really get by at studios making your stuff work. Like
Hmm.
there's lots of good sounding stuff that doesn't have much of an audience or following because people ultimately connect with an idea and a human experience.
Yeah.
And so, and I think I do too. Like the Japanese house is a great example of like a newer singer songwriter who I love, who like Imogen Heap before her, like writes very simply and then is just very talented in the studio and has a
Yeah.
good team, does crazy stuff. So yeah, I guess one exception would be, do you know who the group Tiny Habits is?
Sounds like I know them, but
Oh, you
I
do.
can't. Okay.
You do. I think they're from your area. Um, it's three singers and I guess they play instruments sometimes, but it's it's um two girls and a guy, and uh they sing incredible harmonies. And sometimes like they do a lot of social media stuff. Like I found them through social media,
Hmm.
and it'll usually be the one main girl playing acoustic, and then just and the harmonies they pick are so interesting that I'm like I will admit I have like a bit of an allergy to acapella because I just find the human voice is like, I get it. I know how it works. And
Yeah.
so, like, God bless anyone. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. If you love pentatonics, like, good on you. But like that stuff, I would want to actively turn it off. Like, I don't like it.
Hmm.
And Tiny Habits is almost an exception because it's almost always, almost all just the three of them singing. But no one's pretending to be an instrument. Like, no one's
Okay.
beatboxing, which
Yeah,
that's a bit of a turnoff.
that makes
Um,
sense.
and then the harmonies are so interesting. And they just put out their first full length. And it's like they got someone who was more of like the production on it was really surprising to me. Like I didn't
Hmm.
think it would be. I thought it'd be just like more of the same. And so that would be like a recent find where it's just like I kind of listen mesmerized, and I'm like, wow, how did you get me with just vocals and I mean the social media stuff, I'm like just
Hmm.
vocals and acoustic, and I'm like it's so got me like I didn't think that could happen again. It's like my calloused heart is open. And then their record is like is not even that. It's cool. So yeah, Tiny Habits. I discovered them because I pretty much watch any Tiny Desk performance, like I think
Hmm.
any good person should. And that Lizzie McAlpine is kind of like a pop, like
Yeah.
a kind of an indie pop. She played it, which I didn't know her, but the songs were like I was like I like a good pop record, so I was like, oh, this
Hmm.
is cool. But for her Tiny Desk, instead of like bringing in a cool like band or playing she brought them in as her band, and so it's basically she played acoustic and the girl from Tiny Habits played acoustic, and then the four of them sang, and that was she rewrote all the songs that way. And I was like, this I love, but and she said, oh, this is another group, I just brought them in. And I was like, I'm following them.
Hmm.
So I would say that whether you like Lizzie McAlpine or not, I think her Tiny Desk is worth watching because it really like it's an awesome rewrite of all the songs. I think it's rad.
I think it's always cool when artists do that and kind of create something new from something that they already created.
Thus, L'Oreal the film. Here we are back at square one, Mackayla.
Exactly.
Like it is Mackayla. The L'Oreal the film was like, we know we're gonna play these as heavy rock songs. Let's reinvent them, and so it is different versions, but it's true to the spirit. And it is like there is a difference, in Nashville, they'll say it's the difference between the song and the track, or the tune and the track.
Hmm.
The song is like the bones of it, and then the track is like that's that recording.
Yeah.
And I always think when we finish, like that's the definitive version. And you play it live for a couple of years and you realize that there's something to that. There's like that platonic version of the song that can work in, if you've written it a certain way, it can work in most forms. That's super fun to discover.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting in all sorts of different like kinds of art, like taking what somebody has and just kind of like changing it, but also keeping it the same.
Yeah. And it's cool too, every once in a while, when a cover is so good that you like, they steal the song. You're like, that cover is like maybe better. Like I might feel more I mean, I know my wife was telling me there's a joke that like artists don't want Kelly Clarkson to cover their songs on her show because
Hmm.
then it's her song.
Yeah, she's so
Um,
good. She's amazing.
yeah, I know she can sing like unreal.
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple of them. And I'm like, yeah, like I had no notes, zero notes for her.
Right.
But that is funny. The idea that every once in a while uh, like for me, but then sometimes when someone covers a song, it almost feels like if it's a song you love, it can feel like they've offended you.
Hmm.
Like, was it Travis Scott a few years ago covered Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine? And uh it was for like a version. Well,
Hmm.
who was? And I was cool with it. I was like, you know what? Bulls on Parade is an all-time favorite song, but I'll allow it. Who was it? I'm looking it up. Oh, it was Denzel Curry.
Okay.
Denzel Curry did a cover of Bulls on Parade, which was cool to see a rapper doing Rage Against the Machine song. And like Rage is a formative band for me.
Hmm.
And to me, there's only one good rap core band, and it's Rage. But I like loved it. And then there's that famous Atari's cover of The Boys of Summer.
Hmm.
And that to me is an offense. I'm like, no, thank you. But most of my friends, we all grew up on pop punk. So they're like, why don't you like this? And I'm like, because the 80s version is like, I have an experience where like me and Jeremiah, who was original bass player, were like home from tour, and we'd work for this coppersmith, and sometimes we just have the radio on, and we were on some work site, and a classic like 80s 70s radio was playing, which we're
Hmm.
like sick of, and Boys of Summer came on. Do you know the song I'm talking about?
I do. Yes.
And it's got that synth that and it like started playing. I'd never paid attention to it because I'm like, a 90s early aughts kid, and I'm like paying attention. I'm like, kind of said to Jeremiah, song's pretty cool. He's like, yeah. And like goes through the first chorus and like gets in the second verse. He's like, yeah, I never paid attention. Like it is a pretty vibey song. And like we're
Hmm.
both kind of getting back to work. And then it gets to the bridge, and like I turn, I'm like, dude, this song is freaking so sick. And he was like, dude, it is. Like, we had this moment of realizing that this giant famous pop song was good.
Mhm.
Shocker. So when the Atari song came around, I was like, absolutely not. I will not accept this. But for a lot of people, that is the definitive version. And it's like, well,
Mhm.
art is subjective. Like, like everybody gets to have what they like, I guess. So it's cool to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. I always think it's interesting when you like sometimes you say a song and people only know the cover version.
Oh yeah, that can infuriate you if you like
That's
the original.
right. But it's also like I feel like you're doing a disservice to yourself if you don't know the original.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. Like at least but it's like if you heard the cover first and you loved it, it's hard to go back. In the same
Right.
way that if you fell in love with punk rock through like 90s pop punk, like if you're into punk rock was like Green Day and Blink 182, it might be hard to like love the Sex Pistols.
Hmm.
Like you might be able to get it. Some people can, but sometimes like you're like, and with films too, you're like, oh, this film is like a spiritual son of this film. And it's like,
Right.
I get it, but stuff that happened in between is crucial to me liking it.
Hmm.
So it is sometimes you hear it, you're like, I respect that. I respect that that person wrote that song so that this person could make a version of it that I actually got.
Right.
But it is funny to hear like, and it's funny too to learn when a song you didn't know is a cover.
Yeah, that's
That's
always interesting.
mhm.
Yeah. And then hearing the like and then I really like when people do a cover that is very different from
Mhm.
the original song and like a whole different take on it. I always find that interesting. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
well, how did they hear this song and get such a different version that nobody really thought of?
yeah. No, that'll happen in writing with our own songs. Where like a song is going a certain direction, and I will start like it will feel clearly like it's going somewhere, and then I'll start to write on it in a different way, and we'll all realize like, oh, all this stuff in the song, like the first song on Loriella is called Late Bloomer, and it was
Mhm.
originally like a super heavy song. It was like huge riffs, kind of a little bit like Deftonesy or Cloud Kickery or something. And then when I started writing it, I was having writer's block a lot, so I was switching from my electric to my acoustic, and I wrote this accidental acoustic version. And when I finally finished it, I was like, oh, this is one of my favorite things I've ever written, which is always the goal that the new song
Mhm.
is like. And I played it for Nate on the couch. I'm like, we know what it sounds like, but here's just, I was just
Yeah.
singing in the lyrics. And he was like, we should throw everything away and chase that. Like that is more emotional. And so we
Mhm.
built it around the acoustic because it told us it wanted to be something else. And now we listen to that first demo and you're like, that song would have been cool too. But somewhere along the way, you like something about the emotion.
Mhm.
So it is funny. Like I know that feeling, or like obviously the biggest example of that is when Johnny Cash covered Nine Inch Nails Hurt. Have you heard
Mhm.
that one?
Yeah, I have.
And it's like, yeah, and I think Trent Reznor has said now, like, yeah, that's Johnny Cash's song now, because it's like, yeah, he heard instead of like this aggressive, hurt, painful song, he heard this broken, painful song
Mhm.
in the same lyrics, and that is very cool to see it flipped and like to see those words like hit totally different and just as true by
Right.
just changing the tone. Like you can change some things and you can achieve different, you can achieve different ends, by are you winking at the camera? That changes everything.
Mhm.
Like where you put the camera changes everything about a film.
Yeah.
So the same thing is true in art. Like who's doing the talking and what are they speaking sarcastically? All these things like such a big impact on what is being felt. And you can change just one of them and have or like, from Wicked to from Wizard of Oz to Wicked,
Mhm.
like just change who's telling the story. Same story,
Exactly.
who's telling it,
Yeah. Which is so interesting. I haven't seen the new Wicked out yet. The Disney Plus one.
No, it's at Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. Okay. Yeah, it's on my list of things to watch.
Yeah. Did you ever see it on Broadway?
Not on Broadway now. Like I've
Okay,
seen
because
it, but not on Broadway.
it was where did you? Oh, you saw like an off Broadway production.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, which I'm sure was good, but the Broadway production was, I mean, especially at the time it was new, it was like pretty unbelievable. And actually, it was like my second or third date with my wife. We were like talking on our first or second date. She'd never seen anything on Broadway, and I grew up
Mhm.
kind of in theater too, and did a lot of theater stuff. And so I said, hey, tomorrow we're gonna go on a date. I'm gonna get you up super early, and we're gonna get back really late and bring something warm and fancy. And I drove us. We live near DC,
Mhm.
so drove straight to New York, which is 5 hours. And I got parking in Times Square. She'd never been there. We walked right to Wicked, and I hadn't seen it in years. I was like, "Oh, it holds up," because I talked it up to her,
Mhm.
and it was like, "Oh my god, it's so good." Plus, like, when you're on Broadway, you're seeing some of the most talented people in
Right.
every, design, stage design, like costuming, like live sound, live musicians, live actors. And so it's like pretty unreal. Um, and she was like, when it ended, she was like, that blew my mind. So hopefully the movie's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It seems like it should be good. I feel like it's one of those things they have to live up to a certain expectation. So it has to be really good or it's not going to do well.
Yeah, I don't know. Nostalgia's tough. It's tough to go back, and that's a tall order.
Yeah. Disney's been doing it so much recently, though.
Yeah, I have a lot of strong opinions about that. So if you'd have told me 20 years ago that Disney would be making a billion Star Wars shows, I'd be like, that sounds sick. And now I don't
Mhm,
watch any of them. And that's not to yuck anyone's yum if you like them. It's just like it's not doing anything for me. And
mhm,
so I kind of wish like, like they'd maybe give it make me miss it again.
mhm.
But I don't know. There's a lot of money and there's everybody involved in that movie seems talented. So hopefully it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. We'll see.
We will.
Yeah. So before I ask the last question, was there anything else that you wanted to mention or talk about today?
No, Loriella, the film is out now. It's on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing at once. It's about 28 minutes and it's five of the songs performed live with a couple of interstitials and some background stuff. But it's basically meant to feel like a cool, stylized live concert. So if you haven't seen us and you want to, then pop some popcorn and watch it. And then the live versions of the songs are also on all streaming platforms, so people can listen to new versions of the songs. And other than that, yeah, L'Oreal been out for a few months. We're super proud of it. We hope people will listen to it and buy it and check it out. I'm sure we'll announce some other stuff soon, but right now we just came out of a bunch of stuff and we're getting back to work.
Exciting. So the
Yeah,
last
for
question
sure.
is, what is the soundtrack of your life?
Oh man, what does that mean? Like I have to pick one record or like I pick a movie soundtrack?
It's however you want to answer it.
Mm. Oh, that man, that's like I got to research. I would say that who do I listen to the most? Um the soundtrack right now in my life is anything my daughter will sing along to because that is like the best sound.
Mhm.
And so today it was song two by the band Blur. It was a lot of woohoos. Unfortunately, sometimes it's kid songs I don't like. But thankfully, quite often she'll even ask for my own songs, which is really flattering. Um, and other than that, I'm like recommendations. Like I like to read, and my two most listened to artists when I read are Olafur Arnalds. Do you know who he is?
Sounds familiar.
He's an Icelandic composer. It's kind of piano based, but there's lots of electronic elements. It's very beautiful. He did a really cool Tiny Desk you can watch. It's like it sounds like Oliver, but it's Olafur Olafur
Okay.
Arnolds, and then a band called Hammock. You know who Hammock is?
Think so.
Okay, you don't have to. They're a duo, and it's very ambient. It's beautiful. It's like soundscapes. So when I read, I like something that's just uh pensive and not too distracting, and no vocals, and very like evolving and ambient. And Hammock is a band that I've loved for so long, and it's just like they'll have songs that are like kind of dark, but it's all beautiful. It's always beautiful, even if it's sad.
Mhm.
And Olaf for Arnold's the same way, and I find it works for almost everything. And I can just put it on, and the vibes are so good. So that's my two answers to your question.
I love it.
What's the answer? You have to answer too.
I feel like it really depends either on like the day or what I'm working on.
Yeah, yeah. But what is it right now? Like, if you have to get to work after this, what are you going to listen to?
There's this band I really like right now, People Are Ugly.
Oh, okay. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, it's just the R, not the whole R. It's just the letter R.
Okay,
Yeah, I've been really into their music lately.
cool. I will check them out.
I really like
Um,
them.
yeah, I mean, the last book I finished was I finally read this book called Silence that Scorsese made a film on like 10 years ago. That I hadn't read and a bunch of friends had recommended. It's super dark. So for that, I like listen to different. So I do try to match the mood,
Hmm.
but but I tend to like things that are maybe heavy and thoughtful, but and in the end have some version of hopefulness to
Hmm.
them. Like I tend to, if something's too cynical or too nihilistic, I tend to just bounce off of it because that's just not how I'm wired. But I don't want fake thing. I need it to be heavy and substantial.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
Olaf Arnold's and Hammock generally work for the kind of books that I
makes
tend to like.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So for our listeners who want to stay updated on you guys and hear your music and just kind of follow along with your career, where can they find you?
We have lots of social media, but I personally run the Instagram, and I post there the most. So follow what click follow on Spotify and on YouTube. That helps us a lot. And then add us on Instagram too. That would be the best. Well,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Mackayla, thank you so much.
Listeners, go check them out and make sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at STO Lives Podcast. Thanks for joining us.